Hi, and welcome back to Superior Yourself with KJ Landis. Today we're learning how to make homemade fermented sauerkraut. I say homemade fermented sauerkraut because a lot of sauerkraut these days at the grocery store has vinegar, sugar, and salt added, and it's heated, so therefore it has no probiotics. Probiotics build the immune system, and they replant the bacteria in our intestines, which are so very good for the garden. If you don't have your garden planted, you don't have the opportunity to keep that intestinal wall strong and healthy. So basically what we're going to do is slice the cabbage very thin, and you keep the outer cabbage walls, a few big slices to press on top. Then we're going to 2 giant cabbage heads. We'll put them in a big pot. When we're done with the 2 giant cabbage heads completely, I add Himalayan pink crystal salt or unrefined sea salt, 2 level tablespoons. That's it for 2 giant cabbage heads. And I'm going to knead it and pound it until it makes its own juice. When it makes its own juice, it breaks down the cellulose fibers and the sugars and the natural salt. It's going to make its own liquid. So I've been pounding with my potato masher, and I've been hand massaging this, and that giant amount of cabbage is now smaller and smaller, and by the end of my 10 minutes of mashing, it will go down to fill only 2 quart jars. Okay, get ready to stuff it in, and it's going to make a lot of juice. I pounded everything down, and there's liquid in the bottom. I'm shoving it deeply into a jar, and you can use any jar. When you dip it into the jar, you press as hard as possible in order to get everything under the natural brine that you've created. And you see, if you press hard, the natural brine, you want to make an anaerobic environment, which is no oxygen. The fermentation process happens when it's all under that liquid. And you leave a little bit, like an inch at the top, so the gases that form during fermentation can escape. So if there's any extra that you need, if you need any extra liquid to submerge all the veggies underneath the liquid, you just add a tiny bit of water or a little bit of salt water at the top. And you can get that from the bottom here. But what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of salt water from another fermented that I had, or just from the sink, or from salt water that I already have. Once it's completely submerged, I take a large cabbage leaf that I took off in the beginning, and I use that to seal the veggies underneath. I just fold the edges underneath, and I press down firmly, and the bubbles come up, which prove that it's under there. Now I'm going to take a small Ziploc bag, and I press it to further seal, and I fold it over. And then I put water or a stone. So you see there's tons and tons of liquid, so that's sealed. Everything's under the water, no oxygen. And that adds weight. And then I just seal it. I don't seal it completely tight, because you don't want your gas not to escape. So you put that on, but not super tight. And I'm going to put it either with a towel around it or in a bowl. And I put it in indirect light, bright indirect light, and every 2 or... And this is what it looks like when it's all done. You have to check every 3 to 4 days, open it, let a little gas out, and taste it and see if it's sour enough and salty enough, if it's more potent or less potent to your liking. After about a week, it should be ready, and then you put it in the refrigerator to stop the fermentation. Like and subscribe below. Please go to my website, SuperiorSelf with KJLandis.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye. See you next week.